Hi to your Patreon shoutouts to Brady and Hillary. Welcome, Howlers. Welcome back to yet another video. This is going to be my TBR for the month of October. Now you will see in my wrap-up next week that my TBR switched a little bit for September, and that also affected October, so stay tuned. So of course I am going to continue on with my read-along of the Greatcoats series by Sebastian de Castell with book 3 of the Greatcoats, which is Saint's Blood. So this is a read-along, if you don't already know, that is going on at Mike's Book Reviews channel, so check that out and join us. There's still plenty of time. These books are super fun, pretty quick to read, and they're fantastic. So once again, I will be moving along in my read-through of this series with Falchio Castambrasti, along with our new additions to the party. Since book 1 and 2 added some more folks to the group. If you don't know anything about this series, I have full reviews of both books 1 and 2. That's going to be Traitor's Blade and Knight's Shadow, so I'll link those here. This writing is fantastic. These are super well paced. The entire story is told through Falchio's eyes, so this is a first-person POV book. He does break the fourth wall quite a bit and, you know, kind of wink at the camera throughout. Just the writing is fantastic. The characters are great. They're dynamic. They're lovable. I absolutely adore their conversations and their dialogue with each other. There is a ton of action, which I love. I am an action junkie when it comes to the fantasy genre. The magic system is very much in the background, so you'll hear a lot of comparisons to the Three Musketeers and more grimdark things such as Joe Abercrombie. Definitely what the series is, especially after book 2. It did take a very dark turn during some of it. Now my dog is chewing a bone at my feet. Bastard. These are also some of the funniest books that I've read all year long. Actually, Warbreaker snuck up there too as being a fantastic, hilarious book. But the dialogue and the comedy is very in your face in these books, and it's fantastic. I love these characters, and I cannot wait to see what happens next in Saint's Blood. Next up, because of the hype growing around the movie, that is almost definitely going to be delayed. But as of right now, it's still December 18th? Something like that. That's probably right. That is going to be bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Frank Herbert's Dune. So yes, I am fully on board with reading Dune and possibly even doing a reading vlog style video. I don't know, I've never done one, but I am considering it for this book because I feel like it's going to be incredibly epic and impactful. I am very pumped to see the movie when it comes out, and it really, between that and Mike's love for it and Quinn's love for it and just seeing all this hype built around the series, I'm definitely on board with the book. I'm at least going to read book 1, and then I've been told that if you continue on, kind of read book 2 and 3 as a single story. So that's what I'm looking to do. It sounds right up my alley. I have a loose understanding of what this story is. It is basically set, I think it's something like 10,000 years in the future. It's very deep into the future. Nobility families own entire planets. There is a large battle kind of going back and forth about resources, and this particular spice that Paul and his family are kind of in charge of leads to this overall story for Paul, the main character. Essentially what this sounds like is a sci-fi sort of space opera with some fantasy elements involved. It almost sounds like a Chosen One storyline, so I'm expecting somewhat of like a, not necessarily a Red Rising feel, but more of a solid blend of those elements to really give an impactful and fun story to follow. I know this is more leaning on the philosophical aspect of the future and resources and these warring families over these resources. This is not going to be a battle-centric book. Totally fine with that. I read tons of stuff that doesn't have a bunch of battles in it. It does kind of look like the movie's going to lean a little bit more heavy into the action, probably just to keep a general audience. But I'm very fascinated in the book. I've had some friends recently read it and absolutely love it. So I am pumped for this, and I cannot wait to get to it next month. Next up, as I continue apparently just reading everything in the Cosmere this year, I am about 400 or so pages into Words of Radiance as of filming this. So I expect to finish that before October hits. And then, after these 2 books behind me, I'll be reading Edgedancer, which I've heard very, very mixed opinions on. Now, it's a novella, so it's pretty short. It should only take a couple of days to read, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most. Sits right in between Words of Radiance and Oathbringer, so it's the perfect time to read it. I know a lot of people don't like the character Lift. She is basically she is a barely teenage Knight Radiant. So, I mean, the fact that she's a Knight Radiant sounds dope. I know she gets on a lot of people's nerves, so I will form my own opinion on her and whether or not I hate or I love this book. Either way, I'm going to read through it because I know it is not necessarily required, but it's, pretty... You should read it before Oathbringer. So, fitting that in before the spoiler alert, I'm also going to read Oathbringer this month. So, let's talk about that. So, after Edgedancer, I am going straight into Oathbringer, which should wrap up my month of October. I don't anticipate fitting anything else in that just because Dune is rather large and Oathbringer is massive. So I'm going to be reading Oathbringer, obviously in anticipation of November, which is Rhythm of War. So that comes out the 24th, and that's probably when I will start reading that next month in November. I will not finish that in 6 or 7 days, so that will take me into December. But obviously, if any of you in my audience are unaware of what the Stormlight Archive is, it is Brandon Sanderson's epic. It's going to be a 10-book long series. I believe the first arc or first part of it ends after the 5th book. So I am just catching up on it before Rhythm of War drops so I can be in on the conversation with everybody and not miss out on everything. And as to my earlier point about I just happened to read basically the entire Cosmere this year, after Rhythm of War, I will have read, I think, everything except for like the shorter stuff in Arcanum Unbounded. So like the 11th Metal, Emperor's Soul, which I hear is fantastic, Hope of Elantris, a couple of other ones that I think exist, but I will have read everything. So I will be totally caught up on Sanderson. And Stormlight Archive is shaping up to be fantastic, as everybody says. Words of Radiance right now is great. I am definitely more invested in it than I was at this point in Way of Kings. Obviously gives me appreciation of what was set up and built foundation-wise in the Way of Kings. And I also like how in both of these books, the Way of Kings and Words of Radiance are referenced as actual like in-world texts, so that's pretty cool. And I'm on the lookout for any Warbreaker connections within Words of Radiance because I do understand that there are a few, and I believe it revolves around a certain character. I'm not exactly sure yet. I've probably already seen some of it and just not really pieced it together, but I'll know one way or another. And it's just cool seeing some other characters that are world hoppers in the Cosmere that appear in Mistborn and Elantris. Here, Warbreaker, there's a particular character that you know who I'm talking about who kind of just pops up here and there under different personas, so that's pretty cool. I'm interested to see like what the overall point and ultimate goal of doing that is. If it's just like a cool thing, like an Easter egg that if you read the entire Cosmere, you get to kind of be in on this character's movements throughout the Cosmere. Or if it's going to lead to a larger thing being in place, because between these different worlds and timelines of these stories, like there's at least hundreds, if not thousands of years. And you kind of see some world hoppers appearing in both. So, I mean, obviously they have powers of some kind, like they're jumping worlds. So that's definitely cool. Oathbringer obviously is going to be Dalinar focused. He's my boy. I love Dalinar. He's going to focus on his sword as well, Oathbringer. So definitely looking forward to that. I am enjoying the Shallan stuff, though, in Words of Radiance right now. I'm enjoying Kaladin a lot more. Adolin kind of sucks right now, but that's probably by design. So, yeah, Stormlight's been great so far. Hopefully I enjoy Edgedancer. If I completely hate it, oh well, it should only take, 2 or 3 days. So that is my TBR for October, guys. But I would love to know your thoughts on anything that I am planning on reading. If you are a part of this read-along for the Greatcoats, you should be. It's great. If you've read Dune, let me know your thoughts down below. If you've read Stormlight, Edgedancer, whatever you want to talk about, let me know what's on your TBR. I'm definitely interested to talk with you all about the books that you're currently reading or that you're planning on reading. If you want to continue this conversation as well, I am always going to be posting things on my community tab. I have my Discord going. That's growing steadily. Definitely more members than last time I mentioned this. There is, of course, the Patreon that is up that I will be doing more Patreon exclusive stuff as it builds and I plan those things out. So feel free to join either of those. And until next time, everybody, keep reading. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe.